going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got my man with me, Jay Bobo. What up, Jay?
What up, Terry? What's going on for the night?
Not much, man. We got a pretty interesting topic tonight. This one is going to be really for the fellas. We're going to be putting on for the fellas, really expressing something that men deal with on a continuous basis. Tonight we're going to be talking about the masters of deflection, some of the tactics women use to win arguments, to have discussions with men, etc. And we're going to talk about how that creates some chaos and some dysfunction in relationships from a male perspective. But before we get into the topic of the night, we like to start the podcast off with a segment that we call Terry's Top 3, where we like to highlight the most interesting or controversial posts from my Instagram page at Terry Duran. Today we're going to be starting off with a video that I just happened to come across where it was another podcast in the UK, and they were expressing, a lady was expressing her thoughts about men and women in relation to dating these days. Let's take a look.
Women are more trash than men in a general sense. Like, we can talk another.
Sorry. Can I hear that one more time?
Women are
I agree.
Women are more trash than men, and I believe that women are more trash than men because I compare it to crimes: murder, premeditated, murder and manslaughter. Women do things premeditated.
Absolutely.
Only women will use children as a pawn to get to a man.
I agree.
Only women will allow themselves or allow men to believe they're the father of a child when they're not.
I agree.
Only women will know that you've cheated 3 months ago.
Well, that can't work that way around, can it? Anyway, like you can't.
It can in some cases.
Yeah.
Kevin Federline.
She was speaking Bible verses.
Kevin Federline.
No, I agree.
But in a sense,
she's
like,
dropping gems.
women are naturally more vindictive than men. Men are clumsy, like they do dumb shit.
Yeah, but the dogs,
women, exactly. But they're not as like women are thought out. They're really vindictive and really detailed in the things that they do. So women are more trash than men. If you want to add me, we can do this.
100%.
But women are more trash than men, and that is why I think that we judge them the way that they do.
All right, now I don't agree with everything she said. Men definitely do the things that she mentioned. Anything that you mentioned about women doing, there are men that do the same thing. There are men that think and behave like women in every sense of the word, or in any way possible. But what she did point out, or what really resonated with me while I put it on the page, is she talked about the difference between premeditated and intentional problems, conflict, etc., and something just naturally happening or misunderstanding or something happening in a relationship. And what she's talking about is something that I've spoken out about before as well. You know, women with their intent to try to hurt men, to try to make a man feel how she felt about a situation, all these type of things. Like, those type of behaviors ultimately kill a relationship, because if you are sitting around planning on how to hurt somebody or make somebody upset, then you're not operating and trying for the betterment of the relationship. If you focus on negativity or paying somebody back for something that hurt your feelings or bothered you, then you're not bringing any positivity to the relationship.
Yeah, no, she's definitely said a lot of these, women behaviors pretty much had that down pat of what women do. Women are definitely vindictive in a lot of situations.
Yeah, now there are a lot of
way. Oh, you cheating on me, so I'm gonna cheat on you with this person, or I'll cheat on you with your friend.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that goes on. Some of the things she mentioned, women leading a man to believe a child is his when she know it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. That type of stuff has always happened. You know what I mean? Like, so there are always going to be some people, men and women, that are just trifling, scandalous, don't really have much regard for others, etc. Now, obviously, those people in general represent the exception or the most extreme cases. But what she's talking about, women intentionally doing things to bother men or upset men, that's something that men deal with on a regular basis. That's not related to tonight's topic, but it's another one of those things and those bag of things that if you had a poll of a large number of men, you would get a very high percentage of men that complain about these things because it's such a normal occurrence to do. Just, I mean, I want to say to a certain degree, it's just something men expect from dating women. You know what I'm saying? Like, you expect a certain level of pettiness.
I think too, in some cases, they expect that to agree. But I don't think it happens all the time, but I think, there's some dating, there's a bunch of dating scenarios where you expect for it to happen at some point.
Yeah, I mean, because any man that has experience with a decent number of women has observed it in multiple women. You know what I mean? Like, you see it in your family members, you see it in your female friends, your female coworkers. You overhear their stories, and when you see how women interpret things or how they interpret scenarios, they often project what they're doing to men. Like, so that they accuse men of having a negative motive or in trying to do something negative to them, because in a lot of cases that's what they do to men. You know what I mean? Like, so I find that a lot of the common behaviors that we observe in women and I talk about, those are the very same things that women accuse me of doing on my page. Like being inconsistent and some of the things that we'll be talking about later on.
I think you're accused of bashing or hating women and not consistent like you just said.
Yeah. I mean, it comes with the territory when you're discussing these type of issues.
Right.
So I expect that from to a certain degree from certain women. So like I said, it's something that I expected when I got into giving relationship advice, and in particular focusing on giving the male perspective and actually having the nuts to actually criticize some of the things women think and do. All right, let's switch gears. Let's kick it into it. This is another post that I wanted to talk about because it represented a really big misconception about cheating. So the post said, "Why cheat on someone you don't want to lose with someone you don't want to keep?" And on the surface, it sounds like some wisdom, right? Sounds like a wise quote. But it doesn't really represent the mentality of somebody that's in a position to cheat. Like, most people that actually cheat aren't cheating to lose the person that they're with. That's not their goal, that's not their intent, that's not really a part of their thought process. I don't think any criminal goes and commits a crime expecting to get caught. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know of anybody that goes and cheats and goes through the things that it takes to actually cheat on somebody with the hope of losing their partner or with the goal of losing their partner. Like that part of it, that can be a side effect. That can be the result when something goes wrong or something unexpected happens, but it's not really a real big part of the thought process when a man, especially a man, is making a decision to stay or cheat, right? And then the second part, it says with somebody that you don't want to be with. Like, well, that kind of contradicts the strategy for cheating too.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah, because
it is, it's definitely an oxymoron there.
Yeah, because I was gonna say
I think what's getting missed here, what I think a lot of women do feel is when a man cheats, it really has little to nothing to do with the person that you're with.
Well,
because when a man is doing things, not necessarily out of a place of emotion.
I don't think it's a directly with the person. I think it's a direct result of what you're experiencing in your relationship. People that are happy with their relationship, cool with their sex life, cool with everything, they are a lot more likely to turn down opportunities to cheat and not take that risk compared to somebody that's not getting their needs met. You know what I mean? Like, so when you're talking about somebody that you don't want to be with, well, that from a male perspective, that's the perfect person to cheat with. Somebody that you're just trying to bust a nut with, that you can get on the same page with, that understand your situation and is cool with it. Like, that's who you want to try to cheat with. It doesn't make sense for a man to cheat with another woman that he wants to be with. That's gonna put you on some, power Tommy and Angela type shit. Like you dealing with two women you love.
Because then you have now you're juggling two separate relationships here.
Yeah, that's problematic.
So, I mean, just thinking from a practical standpoint, you would want it to be somebody that you have no intention to be with, and that person has no intention to be with you. I think it makes things a lot easier from a male standpoint.
That would be your ideal situation. But a lot of guys, they make the mistake of cheating with somebody or pretending to be single or lying or deceiving the chick. You know what I'm saying? Like not telling her he's married or whatever the case may be. Or they cheat with chicks that are single and looking for relationships. You know what I mean? Like so where that there's almost, it's not 100%, but it's very likely that depending on her age and her life situation, she wants a committed relationship, family, and something that's going to lead to marriage. So guys make poor decisions when they're going about cheating, because a lot of it has to do with just opportunity and the woman that presents, that becomes an option for that particular man. I just wanted to touch on that post because when I read it, I'm like, man, for any man that's ever cheated, this don't make no sense whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, nobody cheats thinking, man, this is gonna be the blowjob that cost me my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the mentality of somebody that's cheating. You know what I mean? Like, so I try my best to try to put it in context. Like, if you can just ignore the fact, okay, we know that it's wrong. We know that they shouldn't do it. But if you can understand the real reasons behind something.
But I think that's the thing, like, women don't want the reasoning behind it. They just want. They just say, like, okay, he's wrong, he cheated, he should have did that. Why, if he loves me, why would he cheat? I mean, that's the cliche thing, it's the kind of thing you hear all the time. Well, if he loved her, he wouldn't have cheated.
Yeah, there's a lot of mythical beliefs about love and what it'll prevent and all those type of things, but the reality is for most guys can separate sex and love. So a man can feel like doing something sexual with the intent of having fun and busting a nut don't have nothing to do with who he loves, because the way that most quality men show love for their family is by providing for them, putting their needs and wants above his own, putting them in a position to live better lives, etc. Those are the behaviors that quality men are exhibiting, and you can be doing that to a T even if you cheating on your girl. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how a man can be feeling like,
right, because I mean, man, he's not going to correlate one to the other here.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But that's how a man can feel like, man, yeah, I know I cheated, but man, look at everything I'm doing. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Look what you drive, and look how we living. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be comparing that discretion to everything that they're doing on the positive side of the ledger. You know what I'm saying? Like, but from what I gather from most females, cheating erases everything on the positive side of the ledger. You know what I mean? Like, and that doesn't seem to be really fair, but nothing's really fair when it comes to dating and relationships.
I mean, listen, we don't live in a fair world here, and unfortunately, we live in a world of what is and not what should be.
Yeah, fair's where they go judge.
Where they judge things.
All right, let's move it up to our third post of this episode. This is a question that I got asked, and it was a pretty simple question. So I just wanted to elaborate on it. So the question is, what keeps a man interested in a woman he has been with for years? And ultimately, the answer to that question is what he experiences with her. That's really the way that we judge any of our relationships. The way that we feel about a particular person or a particular relationship that we have is largely predicated on what we've experienced with that person. Somebody you have positive experiences with, positive memories, they've done things for you, they've done, you know what I'm saying? Like you're likely to have a positive relationship with that person. Those tend to be your friends and family members. You know what I mean? But when we're talking about dating, what makes a man that has options, that could be with multiple women, That could be still being a thought or doing what makes him choose to be with one woman. Well, it's usually love. He has to have feelings for her, obviously. But
physical attraction.
Yeah, physical attraction. But he would have never got to that point without the physical attraction. But yeah, maintaining the physical attraction. That's something that we talked about when me and my wife went to marriage counseling. Like, man, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? And I really can kind of attest to it. You know what I mean? Kind of with my, rapid transformation as far as where I started with my weight, where I ballooned and got really fat, and now back to where I'm, looking like my old self again. Man, it makes a big difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, I I've been married the whole time, so I didn't really notice it. But now that I'm married, like, the way women respond to me now is so similar to how they did it when I was single in college. It's like, damn, I didn't realize, you know what I'm saying? Like, being fit and being in shape makes that big of a difference. Because I'm dressed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't realize how much people can see your shape. You know what I mean? Like, because it's you. But it is a big deal.
But I think and I think you can attest to this, a lot of people don't realize, everybody wants, especially more so women, they want to get married. But I think, people don't realize that marriage isn't the be all end all. You gotta maintain that marriage and maintain that relationship.
Right. The goal is to make it healthy where both people can actually be happy. You know what I mean? That's why I'm always talking about the things that either increase the chances of that happening or decrease the chances of it happening. So when you're talking about what makes a man want to stay with a woman long term, it's not just the physical attraction and, the things we just talked about. It's her decision making, her ambition, her goals. Is there an environment of mutual respect? How does she deal with criticism or when he has an issue? You know what I'm saying? Like when he has to address a problem with her. And we'll talk about that in tonight's topic, which is Masters of Deflection. Tonight's topic kinda is related directly to this question, because tonight's topic is going to be talking about all the things that prevent a man from staying with a woman long term. So this is going to work. Tonight we're going to be talking about a lot of relationship killing behaviors and things that really frustrate men with their interactions with women. Looks like we are up against the clock. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we will get into the topic of the night. So you are listening to the More Than Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in a moment. You have everything it takes to become an effective dater. I've simplified the entire process for you. All you need to do is make some adjustments to your approach to learn how you're supposed to date by downloading the Terry Duran Dating Compatibility Guide. It's available for only $1.50 exclusively at terryduranbooks.com. All right, everybody, welcome back. You are listening to the More Than Love podcast. Before we get into the topic of the night, I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Productions for the audio for tonight's show. He cooked up a couple of tracks for us and put us in position so we have some audio for the show. So big shout out to Brother Soul. But tonight's topic, we're talking about the Masters of Deception. And these are some of the things the tactics and behaviors that men observe and deal with when it comes to their interactions with women. So I wanted to start off the conversation with the definition of deflect. The definition of the word deflect means to turn something away from its intended cause or direction. And when we're talking about relationships, it's really in regards to conversations or a man trying to express himself, right? Or address an issue he has with the woman. That's where he's most likely to encounter these type of deflection tactics. And it's frustrating because in order to really resolve an issue to the point where the issue doesn't come up again, you have to be able to have open conversation about the issue. Like, for example, Jay, if me and you had a beef or we got into it over something, we'd have to have a heart-to-heart or a man-to-man conversation about it in order to either agree to disagree, sort out what the misunderstanding or what caused the beef, try to get to the root of the problem. Those are usually the two things that you're trying to do whenever you're having some type of disagreement. And for good measure, you can throw in an apology, you can throw in a my bad, and you can follow that up with either change behavior or the awareness to avoid doing that same thing again. If you can do those two things, you have a very high chance of success with any relationship with anybody, a business, whether it's classmates, friends.
Well, definitely from a pragmatic standpoint, because you're coming, you're talking it out, and you're trying. Even if you agree to disagree, I'm sure you can at least find some kind of common ground there.
Yeah, I would make a very strong argument that women deflecting or avoiding accountability when you try to call them out on their behavior, that's probably one of the biggest complaints men have about women. It's not cheating, that's not really the issues that men have, even though women cheat just like as much as men or whatnot. But the things from a male perspective that make dating the most difficult are having to resolve issues with a woman where you either have to criticize her, you have to point out something she did that was wrong, or something that she did that created a problem. A lot of women really have a struggle with that. And I really...
just like I said on a previous episode, women, they don't like to be held accountable for anything. Don't like to be held accountable or like to take, be subject to any criticism.
Yeah, but that's something that... Oh, damn. What happened?
I don't know. I was talking, I was like, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, that was the first time
cut
that
out.
ever happened. Yeah, the line just line. I'm glad it happened right after the break. All right, so
Right.
we gonna start that segment over again. So
Okay.
you can count
You
us
want me to count it down again?
Yeah, it was only like 3 minutes in, so that was easy.
Okay. No problem. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. Tonight we are going to be talking about the Masters of Deception. But before we do, I want to give a big shout out to the homie, Brother Soul Productions, for the audio production for the show. He cooked up a couple tracks for us to give us some background music, so big shout out to him. But tonight we are going to be talking about the Masters of Deception, and the topic is obviously referring to women in general. And that's not, a shot or anything, but it's expressing what men deal with on a continuous basis. And on my page, anybody that follows my social media, you see these type of tactics taking place in the comments every single day. Now, the reason that these things are so problematic is because it makes it almost impossible for a relationship to ever reach the level where it can be considered healthy. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by a healthy relationship? Well, a healthy relationship is a relationship where both people can openly express themselves, whether that's positive or negative. If you can't tell your partner when you're having a problem with something they're doing or they're thinking or the way they're perceiving a situation, then you're ultimately never going to be able to get to a point where you're actually comfortable in the relationship. You're gonna be either just having to bite your tongue, deal with things that you may have an issue with, and I would not consider. To me, that sounds like a dysfunctional or an abusive relationship.
That's definitely not a healthy relationship. But if you got to walk on eggshells and like you said, walk on eggshells about everything, then that's definitely not a healthy, functional relationship. Then.
Right, and I really, it seems like with the way that a lot of women interact with men, it has a lot to do with their perception of men. On one hand, they want to be with the man. They want a man that's gonna provide and have a family and all that type of stuff. But on the other hand, they view everything about men from a negative or a oppositional perspective. Like he's your enemy, like you're against him, and it's that mentality that makes women resist in anything that a man's trying to tell them that doesn't align with what she already believes. You know what I mean?
And in a relationship, it should definitely not be that way. I mean, obviously, if you're in a relationship, one should not be the enemy. I mean, even just with friends, or people you work with. Sure, I'm sure you've had disagreements with your friends before, but I'm sure you come up with some kind of conflict resolution, or you can find some kind of common ground on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you guys don't agree.
Well, I mean that has to do with whether or not there is mutual respect. People where there's mutual respect usually can get past things like that.
Right.
But what men often experience is not mutual respect. And we're not talking about the fuck boys and the negative dudes. I'm talking about the quality men. The men that actually try to resolve issues with conversation. The man that's not finna try to beat your ass. The man that's, like a real stand-up guy. The things that we deal with. Like, I've never been trying to have a discussion or argument with a woman where I don't let her express herself. That's one of the very first things a man learns that he has to do in order to resolve any issue with a woman. You gotta shut up and let her talk, right? But the expectation is that you get to do the same thing. And what men often experience is whenever the situation is not about something he did wrong, it results in deflection. And that's really what tonight's episode is about.
Sure.
So I want to start off with the definition of deflection. So what is it? What does it mean? What are you talking about, Terry? When I'm talking about deflection, and that women are the masters of deflection, I'm talking about how they are able to turn something from its intended course of action or the topic of discussion. They can shift conversations in a couple of different ways, right? So I wrote down a list of different things that women actually do, specific behaviors that men see or we can observe. But what these type of behaviors actually do, it exposes the inconsistency, the hypocrisy, and a lot of the other things that I post about on my page, because it's hypocritical for you to be able to vent and express yourself and talk and get your point across, and then interrupt the person when they're trying to do the same thing. To not just think about how unfair it would be if only one lawyer in a court case got to present his case to the jury. If every time the defendant's lawyer tried to speak, he got interrupted or overruled, like they used to do back in the day, when racial courtrooms with the all-white jury, like that's what they used to do, right? So it puts the one party at a disadvantage, and in a relationship, if that's what you're doing, you're showing that you don't really give a fuck what your man think or feel. That's ultimately why that kills your relationship. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the key word it said was mutual respect. And like I said, there's got to be some kind of mutual respect. I mean, if there's no respect, then that relationship doesn't really have much ground to stand on it.
I don't think they look at that as a lack of respect. I don't think that's how they view it. But from a male perspective, a woman not allowing you to talk or constantly accusing you of something, constantly changing the context of what you said. So basically you're saying, like, all these type of things that men deal with, it's not just one thing, ladies. This is a big kit of things that men have to be able to navigate and deal with at any given moment. It could be through text, it could be over the phone, it could be in person. Like, men have to deal with these things all the time. and it makes it very difficult for a dating situation to last because it wears on you. You know what I mean? Like, most men don't communicate as well as I do. They don't have the ability to be able to refute the nonsense and diffuse the accusations or ask the right questions that put a woman in a position where she really ain't got no answers because she's using an assumption. She's treating her feelings like facts, those type of things that y'all constantly see me talking about because it happens every single day. So, some of the things that I talk about as far as deflection, what does it look like? When we on my page, when we talk about different topics, women have a way of deflecting by just changing their complete position on something. Completely changing what they said of how they felt or how they would handle something. And then when a different set of facts or a different situation comes up or a different person is at fault, they completely change their stance and flip-flop their entire position.
Well, that's just flat out moving the goalposts.
Yeah, that's another term for it.
But like I said, I've said this on people's episodes. Women, tend not to like to, be held accountable for anything, or of course they don't want to be held accountable, or they don't want to be subjected to any criticism.
Very true. Now, this comes up an awful lot. It's like this carousel conversation, right? Where and it's related to cheating, casual sex, right? So whenever we talk about cheating and a man cheating and how men cheat or whatnot, we make it very clear. We make it very clear that how men handle cheating is right in line and extremely consistent with how casual men are about sex. Men don't attach sex and love. Men fuck to have fun and bust a nut. Men, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very consistent. And so when we're talking about these things, when we talk about how a man can love one woman and cheat with another and not feel like it was the end of the world or the worst thing ever, that's because how little regard he puts on sex. Men don't make women jump through hoops to get dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, men don't go into dating with no preset amount of time before you eligible to get dick from him. That's not how men operate. You eligible to get dick from most guys immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like, women are the gatekeepers or the ones that decide when that happens. If or when that happens. So, that's not how men are approaching the situation, period. But when we talk about women cheating, right? Women will when we talk about cheating, women will act like, oh, we the same way. We just have sex too. You know what I'm saying? We were just cheating just to bust a nut too. And
that's usually never the case.
In some cases, that may be true. In the case where a woman is cheating strictly because she's not being satisfied sexually or whatnot, that may be the case. But based off all the other things men observe about women, about all they dating situations, about all these catching feelings and all these terms, situationships, etc., where out of all the questions I get from women, majority of the questions that I get from women are about how to get the man that they are fucking to commit to them. How to get him to either stop cheating, stop sleeping with other women, or how to commit, how to get him to commit. So when we talk about all these other things and we see how women really operate, we see women pay psychics to get tips on how to get in relationships. They pay experts, they go to seminars, they buy books, they do everything possible to try to get some type of advantage in the dating world. Why would you do that if you just want to be single and fuck? That's something that women have had the ability to do since they were teenagers. So when women are flip-flopping on this conversation, it's so frustrating because, from a male perspective, because it's like, okay, so when we're talking about cheating and why men are less forgiving on cheating, women act like they just can't understand it. Well, it's because of how much value y'all place on sex. Y'all make men wait months to get sex. Y'all talk about how a man, if a man's fucking you, you should be able to count on him for help. You have a whole list of requirements that come with getting sex from you, right? So we can't just ignore all these things that y'all told us on all these other situations. Oh, if a man can't help me, if I need some help, then I'm not fucking him. Oh, if I need some diapers and a dude can't give me no, I'm not fucking with him. Like, y'all have all these rules in place on what the stipulations are if a man's gonna be getting sex from you. So when women are on one hand telling us how long a man has to wait, how much he has to do, how he got to pay all the bills, how he got to do this, how he got to do that to get sex from you. And then when we talk about cheating, you want to make it seem like, nah, man, I just treat pussy just like men treat dick. That's a major contradiction, and it's extremely inconsistent. And so these are the type of discussions that men get frustrated with, because it's like no matter how you try to present the information or get women to acknowledge that they are being inconsistent, they just continuously change the topic, change the discussion, use an exception to the rule as their talking point. And these type of things frustrate men over time. Especially when she's talking, she's making false accusations, she's interpreting situations how she sees, and you know what I'm saying, like all these type of things that men have to correct or address when it's finally their turn to talk.
Right, and especially when it's when it's not based on anything factual, that's what makes it even worse. But I think what also gets me upset, a lot of times when women do cheat, there's a lot of times when there's an emotional attachment with the person that she cheated with.
Yeah, but that's the part
there's some way, shape, or form.
Even though men can observe all the casual dating situations where they told, hey, we just friends, we just kicking it, we just friends with benefits, I'm not looking for a relationship. We hear all but he was doing boyfriend stuff, but we were fucking raw. But how you just gonna be fucking me over and over again for months, and it just be like all that from the same women they claim that they do casual sex.
I mean, that's one of the cliches of why we giving me, how come you're doing boyfriend stuff or husband stuff, why you giving me these wifey benefits or whatever they say here.
They consider giving a man sex on a regular basis to be a benefit. It's not something just casual that you just do for the fun of it. You know what I'm saying? Like the term casual means just relaxed about something. Just it's whatever. Right. Casual Friday mean you can come in dressed how whatever. They don't really treat dating like it's casual. Dating them like remember I put up a post where it was like, what would you do if a man got your number at the bar and then about an hour later you saw him getting another woman's number? Women, I throw his number away, I delete him. Like, damn, you got some type of feeling towards a dude. You ain't even got no.
I was gonna say you don't even know. Why would you say you don't even know the dude from a hole in the wall here?
Exactly, but
you barely even know the dude's name.
But they want us to believe that they don't have no type of feelings towards a dude that they fucking, that they committing soul ties to, and all all the stuff that they tell us in other conversations. Now, another thing that men really get frustrated with or really get tired of having to deal with is when women will just make up something just to be able to have an argument, just to be able to try to make a man out to be either wrong, make him out to be attacking her, make herself the victim, etc. Oftentimes, women will bring up things that the man has never stated or implied in any way whatsoever. And y'all see women try to do this to me all the time. They'll bring up something that completely goes against what I think or believe or what my post says, and they'll try to imply that I'm the one that made this stupid, ridiculous, illiterate statement, when that's completely false. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's just a tactic, fellas. You're going to experience this. You're going to experience stuff like this with women. Like, it may be, only a couple times a year with some women, but you're going to experience stuff like this with women. Like, Quick story, real quick. I was with a buddy of mine recently, and him and his girl was, they was having a disagreement, and he's learned from me, you know what I'm saying? So he's like got his master's degree at how to kind of navigate these situations. Well, his girl was kind of losing the discussion or whatever, so she just decided to make up some shit. You know what I'm saying? He says something, and I got you on tape. You know what I'm saying? So she accuses him of saying some shit that he didn't say, and she lies to make her point and make herself look good to the other people in the room, and say that she got a videotape of it, right? And so as her man's like, he knows instantly he got her ass. So from that point on, he's like, where's the tape? Play the video, show us the tape. And she's deflecting, avoiding showing the video, avoiding pulling it up. Like, that's the type of stuff that men deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just to be able to make her point. A lot of women can't do it. They're just, reaching stuff just for the sake of trying to make their point. Exactly.
And then you're trying to get to the point, your original point, your original premise. How many times like you see it when you start getting to the point, get to the root of things on your post, right? How many times do they reflect or start talking in circles and they use all these little vague, ubiquitous terms here.
Yeah, I mean, just think of it like this, ladies. If your GPS was telling you, go straight for 1 mile and you at your destination, and then you start headed towards that destination, and as soon as you get a half a mile there, it just said recalculating, and told you to go somewhere else. That's exactly what it's like trying to have discussions with women for a lot of men. Because women will say, but what about this? And completely steer the conversation from what the topic at hand is, or what the issue that we're trying to resolve is. I'm trying to explain to you why I have a problem with what you did, and you just want to bring up why you had a problem with what happened last time, or what happened in the past that I did. Those type of deflections make it impossible to ever resolve issues. And so ultimately, it's not going to kill your relationship quick. It's not a headshot, but it's poisoning your relationship. It's killing it over time. You know what I mean? Like, because those are the type of things that change the way he communicates with you. Now he's going to be less likely to try to have these discussions with you. He's going to be less likely to try to discuss real, conflicts with you because of how you handle those type of things. How he knows what you're going to do if he tries to address your behavior, address your thinking, tell you how your assumption was false, question you on your intuition or some assumption that you made up. Men know how women are going to respond to those type of things. That's why you get silent treatment. You get men that are not as talkative. They don't communicate with you as much as they used to. And so those are the type of things that put your relationship in a situation that you don't want it to be in.
Right. I mean, the best way, from a pragmatic standpoint, is having, first of all, communicating effectively, having conflict, resolution, finding a common ground here.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be able to have...
And not anything else, coming up with tangible solutions going forward here.
Right, you know what I mean? And just getting to the point that you're so frustrated you don't feel like talking no more ain't a resolution. You know what I mean? Like, so...
Right.
Hopefully, this conversation or these examples can help put this in context for women so that they can become more self-aware when they're doing these things and they can do something about it. So to summarize what we were talking about tonight, we were talking about the masters of deflection and the ways that women kind of deflect conversations. The things women do to redirect the conversation that a man's trying to have with them, in particular when the woman's in the wrong or the man is trying to address a problem he has with her. Those are typically the situations where this kind of comes up. Women never change the conversation when they're trying to address something that the man did wrong. You know what I mean? Like, so that's inconsistent in itself, because one person have to answer all your questions and tell you everything and give you all candid insight into why he did what he did. And then when he has a question with you, you deflect and you avoid the conversation. It shows itself by constant interruption and over talking. Two things. Remember we talked about in the last episode the Nicki Minaj clip with Joe Budden?
Yeah, with Joe Budden. Yep.
Yeah, a constant over talking, blatant disregard to your thoughts and feelings, and it shows that you don't really care you don't want to have a conversation. You want.
There's obviously that you're not having conversations in order to have any kind of conflict resolution. Obviously when you have a conversation like that, that's not the point of the conversation. You're just pouring out your emotions, yelling, screaming, carrying on, and nothing solved there.
Yeah, and then the third way that these things manifest themselves is when you are refusing to respond to questions, to provide real evidence when asked or presented, or actually elaborate on your accusations that you make. You know what I mean? Like when a man gives you a follow-up question to try to explain why you think or believe something, if you just jump into asking another question or redirect the conversation somewhere else without actually responding to the question, then you're not actually helping the conversation. You know what I'm saying? You're dancing around different topics. You're just trying to constantly be on the offensive instead of actually addressing or resolving the issue at hand. So, hopefully, fellas, I've explained it well enough that they can get it. They can see how problematic this is for their relationships, and they can actually take some action and do something about it. So we are up against the clock, so we're gonna be wrapping it up. This has been another episode of the More Than Love podcast. Again, shout out to Brother Soul Productions. Shout out to you, Jay, for rocking with me to get this done.
Absolutely.
Thanks to everybody that's been tuning in. Make sure y'all share the episode with your friends so they can learn and get put up on game too. Make sure y'all also follow us on Instagram at the More Than Love podcast. That's all we got for this week, man. Thanks for tuning in.